Music.
It's time for Wicked Spursy.
Hey, this is Wicked Spursy, Mike and Steve. Mike, my technical issues kept me from you for a week, but I'm back. I'm here. I am surrounded by animals, and I'm ready to talk Spurs. But before we get there, I need to know, how are you?
I'm pretty good, Steve. I was today. Over the weekend. I decided I was going to mow my lawn. We haven't had a lot of rain, but rain was coming, so I figured I'd mow my lawn, get it cut down, get some nice, water into the ground, not just on sitting on top of the ground or on top of the high grass. So I went to mow the lawn, and I got 80, let's say 85% done. Um, much like one of our favorite ITK players that we almost nabbed, 85% done. And then the belt snapped. So I have a riding mower. So I went on YouTube. I said, okay, how do we change this? It looked pretty easy. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go. Went on Amazon, ordered the belt for it. Belt came today. It is not as easy as it was looking on the old YouTube interweb channel, and it turns out that I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it myself. I'm not gonna win the battle with the mower. Let's just say that. Um, I think that John Deere has made it nearly impossible for a person who's not an actual tech to do the job.
That's quite unfortunate.
Yeah, sucks.
It
Other
does.
than
What
that, man,
happened to
like,
the days where you could repair anything that you bought by yourself using parts that you'd find at the hardware store?
yeah, you could do that. I mean, my dad used to fix a refrigerator, I think.
Yeah, now we
Shit like
got to
that.
deal with
I don't
planned
know. My dad didn't really fix
obsolescence.
anything. I'm a liar.
Well, I tried to fix my computer last week, but I couldn't pinpoint what was wrong with it. And since the entire thing was coming up to 10 years old, I figured, what the hell? I'll just get a new one.
There you go.
I just had to, wait for it to ship from out west
From
somewhere.
Kirkplakistan.
Who the fuck knows? But I got it set up today. We're good. We're here. And we've got plenty to discuss, if you can believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, where to begin? Where to begin? Let's start with our most recent match versus Manchester City. That was quite a match. I mean, every single pundit, journalist, social media personality, commenter, I mean, everybody is using all sorts of superlatives to describe the performance that Spurs put on away at the Etihad. What did you make of it, Mike, in your own words?
I mean, in general, Steve, I think that, City had a couple of opportunities that they didn't take advantage of. Um, I think that, I think straight off the bat, City, held the advantage. They did what we thought they were going to do, but, you know, I, it was kind of the first half was kind of like a back and forth kind of affair. Um, City obviously was holding most of the possession. Um, they put out probably their youngest lineup that they've had in a number of years, which doesn't mean that they were playing a bunch of fucking youth players. They weren't. I think the average age of their lineup was something like 24 years old. Um, and I'm not even positive. I didn't look at our lineup, but our lineup was also pretty youthful. Um, that being said, like, you know, City did have the opportunity to take the lead early, and I think once Spurs locked down that initial rush from City, they I wouldn't say dominated, but I would say controlled the game. Um, I think the tactical, and I'm just gonna keep saying it, the tactical flexibility of probably our most important signing, Thomas Frank, um, allowed us to play in a way that really frustrated City. Um, there was a lot of super high pressing, and then they'd back off, and then they play tough in the midfield, and then they back off, and they come back in pressing and back off, and it really frustrated City for most of the game. And to tell you the truth, other than the Marmouche, wow, man, I mean that was not a good finish. Um, that and the absolutely scuffed header by the man we used to call the Terminator, Erling Holland. Like I didn't really feel nervous about the game at all. How about you? I mean, what did you think? Like going in, you seeing that lineup? Like,
I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that we were starting Sar, Paulinia, and Bentancur in the midfield, we were playing Johnson on the left. Uh, I just did not feel great. It felt like one of those. It felt like one of those lineups that was meant for damage control more than anything else. And the fact that they were cohesive, they pressed well all together, and we were able to capitalize on mistakes, which, by the way, that is something that I'm not used to. I'm used to us making stupid mistakes out of the back and getting punished for it. I'm not used to Spurs punishing other teams for stupid mistakes out of the back. So there was a lot to like there. But I was honestly shocked at how well that midfield performed, especially considering we did not have a truly creative midfielder out there. We did not really have a left winger. We had Brennan Johnson. Brian Johnson. I got Brian on the mind because he didn't show up.
Brian Johnson is from Australia, or no, he's not. He's from England, right?
Yeah,
He's also the singer for ACDC. Anyway.
Brennan Johnson, out of position on the left. I mean, he did get his poacher's goal, but it just wasn't a lineup that filled me with a lot of confidence. And the fact that Thomas Frank had these guys playing organized, decisive, and cohesive it's like night and day. I remember the victories we had against Manchester City under Ange last season, where they were very much like, you're clenching your butt cheeks together and hoping that Decky's moment of magic will bring it over the line, but you never feel comfortable. You always feel like there's a scramble. Somebody's out of position, somebody's not covering, there's space in behind. We didn't really see that. Everybody was where they were supposed to be. They were organized. When some were making runs forward, I'm thinking of one run in particular that Mickey Van de Ven had. You could see, I think it was Paulinia who dropped back into that space, or maybe it was Bentancur who dropped back into that, center back spot. I don't know that I would have necessarily seen that under Ange. I feel like more players would have tried to get forward, and then it would have been, counterattack versus Romero, maybe Porro, if it was coming down that side as well. But just to see that the individual players have an understanding of, okay, well, if he's going forward, I need to drop into this position to open up space here. Richarlison, he is thriving under Frank's system in my mind. He is able to, win these headers, knock on these loose balls, really just be an absolute menace up there. I think as Solanke reintegrates after his injury and starts to be more of a presence, a goal-scoring threat up there, that position ends up being a really good problem for us to have, right? We can swap between Richarlison and Solanke and have some effective hold up play, have some effective of that like terrier going after the defense, causing them all sorts of problems. It feels good to have some semblance of rotation up there. And we've seen it too, right? We've seen Richarlison come off after about 70 minutes to give Solanke a run out. And it never feels like it's a lost opportunity. It feels like it's, more of a like for like. You've got somebody coming on who can still offer that threat.
Well, I mean, so far, you're looking at a situation where, sure, we don't have to really worry too much about that center forward position, right? We have plenty of guys who play out wide, who can whip the ball into the center of the box. In Poro and Mo
Kudus
Kudus.
too's got a pretty wicked cross in.
Yeah, I mean, and when you have guys, so I mean, like you said, I think even the situation last year where we beat Man City 4-0, right? You were still like kind of always waiting for that other, that other coin to flip, right? Be just like, oh, here comes City, like, and it seemed like that might happen right off the bat in the beginning of the second half here, but like, those games last year, even the ones that we won pretty handily, always seemed very chaotic. There were always those opportunities because you maybe had one guy getting back, maybe two, like you said, right? You had Mickey Van de Ven tearing off his hamstrings trying to get back and cover guys because everybody was pushing so far up and nobody is covering space when some of those deeper defensive players are pushing up. Now you're seeing this is the third competitive game that we've played under Frank, and it seems to me this is the third different tactical setup. I think we're going to see a lot of this throughout the season, and this keeps guys fresh. This keeps guys. It doesn't only keep guys fresh; it keeps the other teams on their toes. So when you have Richarlison able to, switch things up with Dom, and once Dom gets healthy, you're really gonna see a lot of rotation there. You're gonna see, I think Tell is gonna feature in some games that Brennan Johnson might not actually feature in. I know that Brennan is the guy who just comes in and scores. What I really like is that every single one of these guys seems pretty purpose driven, right? So Frank didn't come in and have to rebuild the whole fucking thing, which is great.
Because he's not getting the support to do that, but that's a talking point for a little later.
Right. But like I said, he didn't have to come in and rebuild the whole fucking thing. It's not like he had a bunch of guys that were like either, shit players or middling players. This is a good team, man. There's a lot of really good players on here. This is not a 17th place team, is what I'm saying. This is not a relegation fodder team. This team, it should be finishing top 10. It should, with maybe some late additions, could be challenging for top 4 or 5. And that's not to say that we're going to have major success in Europe this year. It'd be neat to see, but it doesn't mean that we're going to have major success. You need to have a lot of players and you need to have deep benches and you have to be able to rotate. So, I think when you're watching this game and you're watching Spurs in that second half, and I think we can pretty much say Spurs controlled the rhythm of the game. They're winning every single duel. I don't even know what the numbers are on duels won, but they were winning balls back in the midfield. They're pressing up high. Guys are filling spaces in the midfield. There was nowhere for City to go through in the midfield. So, we would push them so far back and they were just trying to hoof the ball over the top to get it out to a couple of runners. And, for the most part, you saw Marmoush was being, once Pedro Porro figured him out, was kind of locking him down, right? Jeremy Doku got locked down. Oscar Bob got locked down by, and Oscar Bob is a good player, man.
Mm-hmm.
He got locked down by Jed Spence, right? Erling Haaland got locked down. I mean, Erling Haaland has a serious issue with Christian Romero. Like
Yep.
he cannot seem to get it over on Christian Romero. And again, that I don't buy the notion of a bogey team, right? I don't buy the notion of that. Like a team you just can't beat no matter what. I think that Thomas Frank has and some of these other managers have found ways to frustrate Pep and his system. I think Ange was that, his system was so similar to the way that Pep played that he was able to beat him and narrowly lose a game 1-0 that City did dominate last year. But I think that we have a whole team of players that are purpose driven, that feel like they need to prove something out there. And I think that this system is going to allow players to stay healthy, even with playing ungodly amounts of minutes if they have to. I just think that the way that the system works, it's going to allow for a lot of guys to not have to do dead ass sprints all the time. You're not going to have guys like Decky running 15 kilometers a game, because of the way that the system works. I just think that a more controlled environment allows a team to kind of relax a bit and not have to clench their butt cheeks, like you said, and to be able to play the game the way that the coach wants them to play it.
You see, what's interesting to me is despite the tactical flexibility and the versatility that we're seeing within the squad, there's one consistent theme that I'm noticing over the first few competitive games under Frank that wasn't always apparent under Ange, and that's just organization. It's like we've mentioned a few times now. The players, they seem to know what their role is. They seem to understand what they're supposed to do. And whether you're playing with that, three-man midfield of Benton Kerr and Sarr and Paulinho, or if you've got Bergval out there, you've got, it doesn't matter because each of those guys understands what their role is and they know how they're going to execute it. And one of the commentators, I think it was in this game versus City, had mentioned, referring to, I think, Jed Spence, I almost called him Jade for Brian, was the versatility being a big factor for Frank. We've got a lot of players in the squad who can be versatile in terms of where they're playing, how they're playing. It just lends for, I think, a lot of creativity. And we know that Thomas Frank is the type of manager to, evaluate the team that he's playing and try to decide, how best to go up against them. And it doesn't, I think you said it perfectly, right? Like the same set of guys can play multiple games in a row and not necessarily hurt themselves because even if you've got the same guys playing back-to-back games, their role might not be the same, right? You might not need a marauding fullback to make, lung busting runs up and down all game. In one game, you might need them to do that in the second game, but maybe you need them to be a little bit more tight and compact in the first one. And, it just makes it so that you can use the same players. You don't need to like squeeze every ounce of stamina out of them. You can just change things up even within the game too. Because, one of the things that I really enjoyed watching, it wasn't a constant press versus City. It was I didn't really notice any deliberate triggers aside from, maybe the City keeper taking too much time on the ball and ending up giving it away. But it seems like when there's a press on, it's deliberate and it's the full team going for it. You don't just have You don't have fucking Solanke, who was guilty of this a lot last season, running all over the place trying to chase the ball down. And I love that about him. I love his tenacity for sure, and I can't wait for him to get some more minutes under and start some games. But at the same time, that when he goes to press now under Frank, it's not just going to be Solanke. It's going to be, you get Kudus in there, you'll get a Polina in there, you'll get Sar in there, Bird or whoever.
And it's not going to be 75 minutes of constant press
No,
either.
absolutely not.
It's designed
calculated.
It's designed to keep the other team on their toes and not know. And that's, I think, what frustrated that defense. And sure, I think that like the game for Porro really changed. Not just Porro. I think the game itself changed when Nuri went out, right? I mean, he frustrated Tottenham when he was at Wolves. He's another weapon that they could have used, and he plays completely different to Nathan Ake, right? Who came in, right? And he can't do the same things that Aït-Nouri can do, on the field. So their tactics changed there too. I can't stress enough how bad a decision it was for Trafford to be put into this game. The guy is not good with the ball at his feet. He's not confident enough. Sure, he had a great season in the championship last year. That doesn't make him, the better option here. And whether or not Ederson wants out, or he's fallen out of favor with Pep, or he looks like a 75-year-old man, who's
true, by the way.
Yeah, he did. He looked old and curmudgeon-y, like sitting on the bench. I don't think it was the right choice by Pep to play Trafford in this game. This is a big game for them. They set the tone by winning 2 games big to start the season. Now you have the other side of that coin again, with Tottenham winning 2 big games to start the season. So, I think that in the end, that probably told the tale right there. I mean, that second goal, that Paulinho scored, was 1,000% because of the scrambling. It was to do with the high press, but the scrambling and the inexperience of Trafford to be able to secure the ball and to be in the correct position. He just wasn't in the correct position. And credit to Paulinho, because that was a beautiful shot, well taken shot.
Yeah, what I really appreciate about Paulinho, goal aside, is there were stretches of that game where you almost don't know he's on the field, right? Because he's not making mistakes, right? He's doing exactly what you need him to do by protecting the defense. And he's doing it so well that you almost forget he's there at times, because he's winning those duels and setting the ball free for, Bentancur, for Sar, sending it out wide if need be.
He's a tackling machine.
He is a tackling machine. Very smart player, cuts down passing lanes pretty easily. He reads the game so well. It's just, there are players who are invisible and they're not doing anything. I think he's one of those players who, can be a little bit invisible because he's doing everything right and just enables everybody around him to, perform at a higher level. Like, I think we saw fantastic performance from Bentancur, who I think got a little bit shafted in some of these, team of the weeks that are coming out as the only Spurs midfielder not to be included. But, he was looking like his pre-injury self at times. And I do think a lot of that has to do with having Paulinho there to take a huge weight off of that defensive responsibility for him.
It makes him more confident, right? And when you're having a good stretch, and you're able to play in a position that you're comfortable playing in, where he didn't have to be that defensive guy, that 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 last midfielder back before you hit that back four. I mean, I think when he's able to play his game, sure, he's not necessarily the most creative player out there, but he is going to be able to do the job. He's going to be comfortable. He's a better option to have than Basuma. Um,
Absolutely.
and yes, having that partner back there, um, we saw it with Jan and Toby back in the day. We saw it with we're seeing it right now with Romero and Van de Ven. Um, you know, these guys play well together, and not to discount Danso, because Danso is going to make major contributions too. I really like that guy. I really think he's a hell of a player, and he's going to slot in too. I think those three guys are going to make huge contributions, and they're going to play well together. But when you have a partner that you can trust, it makes everything so much easier. And I think having somebody like Paulinho, who doesn't really make a ton of mistakes, there were a few times where I think and I think Nathan on the extra inch pointed this out too, was like that he kind of maybe killed a couple of counterattacks because he's not necessarily uh great on the pass, right? He's not necessarily a big Paulinho is not a giant creative force, but um he is different than Basuma in that he's not going to make a ton of mistakes, right?
Yeah.
He's not gonna misplay a ball. He's not gonna misplay a defender or an attacker, and have to try and recover, or take a stupid yellow, right? Like Basuma would. He's going to make the safe pass instead of trying to make a risky pass, and possibly giving the ball away in a tough position. I think that it helps just to create a real cohesive unit in that back end, and you know I don't know how anybody's going to score on us if we're playing like that, for the whole season.
That's the other thing that's worth pointing out, right? First two games in the league this season, we haven't conceded yet, which is kind of shocking considering where we were last season, gifting goals away half the time. And now it just seems, yeah, I mean, we've touched on this 1,000 times already. The organization, especially out of the back, has been just something else. I really hope we can keep the clean sheets going. Who knows? But for all the talk of organization and the tactical flexibility and how great everybody looks playing out there are still gaps in the squad, and I do want to talk about those gaps too. But before I get into that, I do have to ask, hey Mike, what you drinking?
Buddy, you telegraphed that one, man. I picked that pass right off.
Yeah, well, they can't all be sneaky.
Steve, I'm not a big fan of barrel-aged beers.
Good to know.
But here we are. I'm also not a big fan of sours. So, again, here we are.
A barrel-aged sour. Ooh.
Barrel-aged orange sour.
Orange.
Yeah. This is from an English brewery. It's from Siren Brewing. Siren Craft Brew. This is called Burst into Song. It's actually kind of lovely. It has the label is kind of super cool. Actually, it's got like the big
Berkshire.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
he's got the Kraken on it. And he's got the barrel.
I'm doing the research on them now. They've got some pretty solid looking can art.
They do. They have like our friend Adomalist has actually recommended a number of their beers, and he gets onto our Discord a lot onto the Extra Inch Discord and into the beer section, and him and Wendy have both suggested a number of Siren beers. I'm just gonna get this open again. I don't like sours. I don't like. Yeah, the
They
yeasty
got some
quality.
nice looking merch.
They like everything that they do seems really cool. I would like to try some of their IPAs, but so far all I've had are stouts and sours. I don't like barrel aged beers because I'm not a real big fan of like the fermentation in the rum or whiskey barrels. I think this is from rum barrels. Chardonnay, bourbon, rum barrels. Yeah.
Chardonnay, bourbon, and rum.
Yeah. Aged 20 months. So like it just imparts that if I'm going to drink whiskey, I'll have whiskey. But I don't know. We'll see. You're going to get probably some taste of that whiskey. You're going to get the bite of the sour, the yeasty quality of the sour, but it's also made with this is made with oranges as well. So it's it's got all the ingredients right here: water, malted barley, oats, wheat, hops, orange zest, and yeast.
Just the zest, I see. What, the pulp's not good enough for them?
No, this is like the orange juice container when you go to buy it at the grocery store, and it says you have like lots of pulp, normal pulp, and then like light pulp or no pulp. This is a no pulp beer.
A no pulp beer.
Yeah,
well, too bad because I go for the lots of pulp personally, but
yeah, you seem like you might be a lots of pulp.
I'm weird like that.
So this beer is kind of
it almost
amber in
orange.
color, almost red, orangish. Probably having to do with the barrels that it's aged in. It's pretty fizzy. It poured a nice kind of biscuity head, and you can smell it. It's definitely been aged in some sort of rum barrel. I don't think whiskey. I don't smell whiskey on it, but we'll give it a shot. It just smells like a regular sour. It doesn't smell like orange or like it has any orange peel or anything in it. So we'll see what happens.
That's tricky. That's one of those like when you say orange beer, I almost expect it to be like a orange creamsicle style ale out of like Burlington Beer or something.
Ooh,
that's a noise.
That is a noise. All right, off the top, I do not like barrel aged beers. Not a lot of them. I do not like sours generally. This beer, I thought this beer was going to blow my face off, and I thought it was going to be so harsh that I just would not be able to drink it. It's not too sour. It does have like on the finish, it has a little bit of that bite from the rum. It does have a little bit of that orange zest. Like it kind of hits you right in the front and then right in the back. But it's not like overly harsh like a barrel aged beer generally can be. It's actually kind of lovely, man. It could be like a nightcapper type of a beer.
Interesting.
It's 8.4% alcohol, so we'll see where I go after this. We might have to end the podcast here pretty soon.
We still got more to discuss.
Yeah, we sure do have some more to discuss. But yeah, I really enjoy this beer. It's really nice. Believe it or not. Good job, Siren. It's called Burst into Song. So I'm not gonna burst into song.
You could though. We might get another DMCA takedown if you burst in a song though, huh?
Mm-hmm. It's just kind of smooth. It's pretty lovely.
Good to me.
It's
What's
pretty
your rating? What do you got?
Look, man, on a sour beer scale, I'm gonna hit that right in the head with a 3.9.
Oh, damn, I was so close. So close.
What'd you put?
Came in with the 3.7.
3.7. Good for you. Good for yeah, man. It's a good beer, man. I mean, I'm very surprised. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. Like Siren is apparently world class. Um, if any of our friends in Wicked Spursy Land out there want to reach out to me on DM and would like to send me some of this beer, I'd be like some of their other beers, some of their IPAs. I've had, like I said, I've had some of their stouts. But if you want to send me some of their IPAs, I will gladly pay for them. Two beers from this brewery that I've absolutely enjoyed, and didn't think I would. So, cheers to you, Siren. Cheers to you.
I guess their siren song has won you over.
Bringing me right into those rocky shoals, aren't they?
They better be.
The rocky shoals, the rocky shoals of the
8.
8.4% beer.
Well, there you have it. That's been Hey Mike. And now that we've moved past the sour beer, I have a sour topic for us to discuss, and that's our transfer activity, because we are moving into the last few days of this transfer window. We still don't have a 10. Madison picked up his injury, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago now? Still no replacement for him. Kulusevski's out through, 2026 at this point, it seems. No creative person aside from Bergvall. And that's not a slight against Bergvall. He's a great player. Love the kid, but we had Madison, we had Bergvall, we had Kulusevski. Now we just have Bergvall. We also sold Son. I don't know if you guys remember that. Son has moved on. And we've resorted to playing Brennan Johnson out of position on the left. So not having a left winger has also not been great. And yet,
Son, by the way, is inexplicably now just banging in 27-yard curling near post set pieces, just for fucking fun.
Yeah. But what the fuck's going on with our transfer activity? Every time you look at it, it's like, oh, Spurs are in for, this player. Just kidding. They're going to Arsenal. Just kidding. They were never in to begin with. What the fuck is happening?
So, at this point, I haven't been a Levy stan, but I have supported him. I think he's done a lot of great things for the club. But at this point, it's finally made me embarrassed. The whole saga with Eze has made me embarrassed. And I'm going to start off by saying, fuck Eze and fuck Crystal Palace. But at the same time, they had that deal in place, right? And they were just waiting for something to happen, like, oh, Spurs come in or Spurs get close, and they knew, and apparently Eze last second, contacted them and said, I'm giving you one more chance before I sign with Spurs, right? A couple of my Gooner friends had texted me and said that he said, please don't let me have to play for Spurs, which is fucking bullshit. But he wasn't begging anybody. The dude is going to make his money either way, and he was going to be successful either way. But now I hope that he gets a pinky toe infection and has to sit out a good number of games. But I think in the end, for Daniel Levy to not have done his homework on this, to not know that there was a deal in place back in January, it means that he didn't do his due diligence. His people didn't do their research into this guy's past and where he's been and how close they were to a deal. Like, those guys are insiders more than the insiders are insiders, right? Those people that you hire are paid to know this shit. And the fact that Levy should have known that, probably did know that, and still dragged his feet on this deal. It's fucking unacceptable, and we're, because of him dragging his feet, because of him not being strong, because of his want to win the deal, right? It just, it's become we've become a laughing stock because of it.
Yeah, and to add insult to injury, this is on the back of a trophy-winning campaign where he came out and said, we want to win the league. We want to win Champions League. Are you really going to do that when you can't sign the players
The
that you're
guy can't fucking help himself, Steve. He has to win the deal. Has to. Like, he was trying to throw in Richarlison at the last second. Like, what?
And then that, for, I think it was Ali G coming out, voice of the club. Oh, well, they've got, transfer targets that they're exploring that haven't been made public yet. That just reads to me like absolute bullshit. Like, we're just trying to save face. Like,
right. I mean, they should have gone right out and gotten El Canus or Alacuche or somebody like that who's available, instead of sitting there trying to still fuck around with Rodrigo with that loan, trying to fuck around with Savinho for $90 fucking million, or Nico Paz for $90 fucking million. Go out and get guys who can do a job. And El Canus is fucking good, dude. He's a good player. He's a good young player. And
that should check 2 boxes for him.
It should check 2 boxes. And it really is blowing my mind right now that we're not doing anything. You never know. We got 5 days left. Something can happen.
Hey, Papa Paratici is rumored to be back after his.
He's coming. Yeah. So Paratici is coming back after the window closes.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he can't, do a little something off to the side, off the books. It wouldn't be the first time he did something he wasn't supposed to.
That's very true. That's very true. And I just think it speaks to, it speaks to the struggles that we've had. We've had coaches who are not supported, world-class coaches that were not supported. Conte was a little more supported than he should have been. And there maybe should have been players that were bought that he didn't want. I'm talking about Perisic. Like, that guy was never going to work out for us. He looked great in a few games, but was never really the guy. We needed younger players. We needed a youth movement, which we got under Ange. First year under Ange, we got a lot of young players that we signed. But we come off of a Champions League run where we're in the final, right? And probably would have been in that final had it not been for a bullshit handball in the beginning of the game that took us right out of the game. But we come off of that and we really don't do much of anything, right? And Poch fails. Poch knew he was going to fail because he hadn't bought him anything for 3 fucking years. Then Mourinho comes in, and Mourinho's not getting the players that he needs to be brought in. Had a chance to get Bruno Fernandes back then, didn't get Bruno Fernandes, right? We got Jetson Fernandes instead, which is it, for it's just it just seems to be something that Daniel Levy has to win the deal, and if he doesn't win the deal, then fucking so be it. He's still making money, right? He doesn't want for money, right? But I don't even think it was that he doesn't want to spend the money. I think it's that he wants to get a fucking better deal than what they're saying that they want for these players. And if he doesn't get that deal, then fuck it.
Yeah,
It's not that he doesn't want to spend the money. I don't think he's nickel and diming. I think he's just trying to win a deal.
It's an ego thing.
It fucking totally is.
Which, for somebody who claims, oh, I love Spurs, they're my team, I want to see them succeed, you're letting your ego get in the way, my dude, like big time. And how many times have we heard, oh, he's going to step away from football stuff. We've got this new guy in. So Levy gets to step away. And then you hear, oh, he's directly negotiating. Which is it?
I mean, that's the thing, Steve, is that I bet Longa is probably doing the negotiating in the beginning. And then once Longa gets it close enough to the edge, Levy has to come in and take the fucking shit over because it's an ego thing. And I'm like, maybe not fire the guy, but like take control out of his hands. He can stay on the board.
Look, all I'm saying is if our friends over there in the UK aren't careful, you might have failed businessman Daniel Levy, going out for fucking prime minister or some bullshit. And then you'll have your own little Trump over there, art of the deal motherfucker who can't seem to get things done the way that they should get done. And look at how well it's working out for us.
Yeah.
What a fucking nightmare. But, we are kind of jumping the gun a little bit. We do still have like 5 days in the window. Something could happen. We have seen in the past, things just kind of pop up out of nowhere and all of a sudden they're across the finish line. So, but I do think that, I understand from the club's perspective, trying to hold your cards close to your chest and, not try to give too much away so that you don't get fucked in the market. But at the same time, when your fan base has suffered defeat after humiliating defeat in a public arena like that, you need to show something to, get them back on your side, to make it feel like, yes, you're actually doing something. And we haven't seen that, when Gibbs White signed his new contract at Forest, it was like, okay, well, you can kind of understand the owner there is a complete tool, whatever. But then to follow that up with, this Savinho nonsense and Eze, it just doesn't lend your organization to any kind of confidence. And I'm pretty sure I saw that, some fans are looking to do a protest this weekend at the game. Which is not something you would expect from a team that won a major European trophy just a couple of months ago. So, I get wanting to hold your cards close to the chest, but you need to do something to get the supporters on your side. And I don't think, especially with the performances that we've seen so far at the start of the season, I don't think anybody is going to buy the, oh, well, it's Frank's fault when things fall to pieces bullshit excuse, because it's not. I think everybody at this point, or the majority of fans, I should say, are wise to who is responsible for some of the pitfalls that we run into over the course of the season. And it's not going to be Frank. And unless there's a major signing that comes in over the next couple of days, there's going to be a lot of heat pointed Daniel Levy's way, and frankly, entirely deserved.
Agreed. What are you drinking there, Stevie?
I got a strawberry whale cake.
Strawberry whale cake. All right.
Classic. It's refreshing, tasty, just what I needed. But you know what, Mike? We are getting close to the end, so I do want to get to some of our final thoughts here. You got anything that you'd like to drop on us?
No, I mean, we have a game coming up this weekend.
We do, yes.
Believe it or not,
Yeah.
We're playing Bournemouth. I think they're going to be. I think they're going to be tough, right? So I mean, they're a team that they're very well coached. I think that they're going to be the surprise they're going to be the surprise of the league this year. Every year there's a surprise in the league. There was that year Fulham was good. Right, and Fulham
That
stays up
one
there.
year.
That one year, Fulham stays up, or Crystal Palace does really well, or Wolves is pushing. And every single one of these teams that are typically mid-table teams. I think Bournemouth is a good team. They're well coached. They're very organized. They like to score goals, right? Um, and I think that you never know what's going to happen in this game because again, Frank is hell bent on not rolling out the same exact tactics as the previous game. And who knows what our lineup is going to look like. But I think that Spurs have an opportunity here to collect 9 points out of the first 3 games, and uh, and that's something that we probably couldn't have imagined at the end of last season. Um, Not knowing who the manager was going to be, not knowing if we are going to bring in any players. I think that a guy like Mo Kudus is going to continue to be to raise hell out there. He didn't have the greatest of offensive games, last game, but it's not going to be, a 2-assist game every time he goes out there. But the guy does continue to work. He does continue to track back to help on defense. There were a number of times in the City game where he was back helping Porro, right? And it's important that those two guys form a partnership, right? So I think that we're going into the Bournemouth match, and I think it is going to be a really close match. I think Spurs come out on top, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see a draw out of this one. But I think we're going to continue to see a well organized Spurs team, a defensive juggernaut. And I think that like I said, it's going to be a really well played, hard fought game. But I think Spurs come out on top.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's going to be a win. I don't have any expectation otherwise. I'm feeling really good about this, where the squad is going, how it's being managed right now. I'm a big Thomas Frank fan. During the City game, one of the commentary team mentioned, oh well, Ange started 8 wins, 2 draws when he joined. So who knows, the Frank bubble might pop, but Frank has also coached in the league with Brentford for a number of years. So it's not like he's unfamiliar with, how the teams play, what's going on. I think he is uniquely situated with Spurs to get this result. And to me, this is one that he needs maybe more than some of the others. Burnley's one of those teams that, yeah, they're up, for the first time from the championship this season. Should be a win there, right? City, if you lose that game, it's okay. Well, it's Manchester City, right? They're a big team. So, no harm, no foul. But Bournemouth is one of those teams that you're right. They're mid-table. They're a team we should beat on paper and have had some difficult performances against them in the past. For me, this is the game that kind of solidifies Frank, in the coach's seat for us to start the season, right? If he gets the result, which I do think he will, it just proves that he knows what he's doing. He's got the right, he's got the right view. He's got the right tactics. He's got the right organization. Everybody's following along the way that they're supposed to. And to me, a win against Bournemouth really piles the pressure on to get those signings in for deadline day on September 1st. It's like a look at what I can do. This is what I can do without your bullshit. get me what I need. And, when we start having these Champions League games, when we start having FA Cup and, Carabao, then we can start having these multi-front competitions where we're not bouncing out of competitions early. We're not playing fucking our U21s because there's nobody else fit to take a midweek game after they blew themselves out trying to get a win in the league. For Levy to make the comment that he wants to win the Premier League, he wants to win the Champions League, getting the win versus Bournemouth, to me reinforces that Frank's the guy and you need to back him.
You need to win against Bournemouth. Then you have the international break coming up, and then you have West Ham, Brighton, and Wolves. That's your September.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to get back with you and talk about Wet Spam some more, because they've been a train wreck in the best possible way for me. They're not for nothing. West Ham's one of those teams that, like, I don't really care about them as much as their fans care about Spurs, and I'm sure they'll treat it like it's a fucking cup final when we go to play them. But I can't help but feel a little bit pleased seeing where they are to start the season. They have not been good by any stretch of the imagination, and they just got bounced from the EFL Cup today, I think, from League Cup.
From the League Cup, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Bournemouth did too, but.
But I think West Ham's situation is a little bit more dire, right? Especially because they sold us Kudus, and now they're having such difficulties. But
you're not gonna. Paquetà's not going to be, and Bowen are not going to be your saviors, right? If you don't have good players around them, it's going to be tough for them. But early in the season, you never know what can happen. I think that September is an easily winnable month. I think if we come out of this Bournemouth game, we can get another 9 points out of September, and then who knows for October before the real struggles start coming in, because you're playing teams like Arsenal and Chelsea, Man U. Not that Man U is a juggernaut this year either.
Man, you really stink this year, huh?
Anyway, so I don't really have any other final thoughts, other than, we are the Wicked Spursy podcast, and you can find us on your favorite podcast platforms. Make sure if you listen to us and you like what you're hearing, tell all of your friends that are Spurs fans or casual soccer fans who don't have an EPL team. Just make sure that you go out there and, just subscribe to the podcast. It's a fun little podcast. Steve and I we've been doing this for 5 seasons now, and and we still find time in our lives to do this. We don't do this for money. We just go out there and we just like to have a little fun and chat about Spurs, and we don't take it too seriously. Well, I guess we take Spurs seriously, but we don't take the podcast seriously enough to be a couple of just complete fucking assholes. So
we're not experts. We just like to have a couple of drinks and talk Spurs.
That's right. Once a week. So yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody does their duty and hits that subscribe button and auto download if you can.
That's a great I don't really have anything to add. That's a great way to go out. Just a nice positive message.
Good. Well, I mean, if there was a message that you wanted to convey to people, Steve, what would you say?
I would probably say coys.
Any other words?
Yeah, don't be an asshole. Mike, how about you? You seem to be on a roll with some of these closing thoughts. What have you got for us?
I just want everybody to make sure that they go out there, tread lightly, and protect your mental health.
And
frankly, Tottenham Hotspur action. It's fantastic.